Hey everybody, Mark here with my fellow teacher Matt for another podcast where we're going to be talking about obligations and necessities today. Obligations and necessities, you guys know, they're things we have to do, we're required to do, we need to do, we ought to do, we should do. There's so many different words we use for this kind of grammar, so we'll be giving some examples of that today. Of course, if you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, find us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and anywhere English is taught. We're going to try to be all over the interwebs. But on that note, let's get started. So our first obligation topic, Matt, is about COVID. Everybody's favorite topic. I talk about COVID every single lesson almost nowadays. My students always have some new update about it, or they want to share about their family's struggles or their struggles. And of course, I think it's going to continue to be the main topic in the news for quite a while. But with COVID, there have come a lot of responsibilities for citizens of certain countries, right? Yeah. So
things that we have to do, things that we have no choice, right? And things that are totally abnormal for us, or at least were abnormal, before this whole pandemic/endemic hit us.
That's what I like to emphasize for students when I teach have to. It's something where you feel like you have no choice. And often it's because there's some type of negative consequence. So for example, for COVID, right, you have to wear a mask because why not just go out without a mask? Because if you don't wear a mask,
because you
have to. Why do you have to?
Because if I don't wear a mask, I have to pay. It's not about getting infected. It's not about being sick. It's about I would have to pay $300, I believe. And then the third time, I think if you get caught in Singapore, now Mark and I are in Singapore, if you get caught 3 times not wearing a mask, you could go to prison.
That's quite intense. So intense. Like,
right? You might go to prison.
You might go to prison for it. Yeah. That's just mind-blowing to me as an American, where we don't have to wear a mask. To be in a country where we have to wear a mask, I've gotten used to it, you know. You've got to do what you've got to do, you know.
Yes, we have no choice.
As they say.
But I think, Mark, you might be wrong, because I know there are some states like California where I believe you have to wear a mask.
So some states are stricter with the rules. And then also, like government organizations or certain companies make it mandatory. You do have to wear a mask at the shopping mall or at the grocery store, at the shopping center, right? So there are places, it's usually limited to place instead of a blanket rule for the entire nation. So I think that's what makes America different. But I guess, I guess that's enough for just the masks. There's a lot of other things we have to do, right?
Yeah, and this is all post-COVID or during COVID, things that we have to do at the moment, right? Things where we don't really have much of a choice. Obviously, Mark and I are inside. We are by ourselves. Yes. We're in different rooms. That's why we don't have to wear a mask right now. But even if we go to a restaurant and if we are vaccinated, right? So that's obviously a very polarizing topic at the moment, if you're vaccinated or not. But in Singapore, if you're vaccinated, we can go to a restaurant, correct?
Yeah, we can, but you have to show proof of your vaccination before you sit down to eat.
Yep. And you can't be in a group of more than 5.
Yes, so there's a restriction.
So you have to be in a group of 5 or less.
Yeah. So small groups have to show you're vaccinated. You have to wear a mask anytime you're not eating. So if you're not eating or drinking something, you have to put the mask back on.
Right. That's why I like now in Singapore, even the waiters and waitresses, they get it. And hopefully I'm not throwing anyone under the bus right now. But as soon as you sit down, they're like, water? You don't even ask for it because they're like, water? Because they know that you want to take off your mask. So I do like that. I do like that thoughtfulness on the waiters and waitresses' behalf.
I think everyone's just gotten used to the new normal, right? So they've adapted and all of these things that we didn't used to have to do, right? I didn't used to have to wear a mask or show my vaccination proof, or only party in small groups. But now, again, we have to.
Exactly.
I guess.
When we talk about obligation and necessity, and students, if you're watching this, again, Mark and I, the reason that we try to do this is to, we want to have a conversation naturally. I can already tell we don't seem that interested in this topic particularly, but
COVID.
But obligation, COVID, we're so fed up with it. But with obligation and necessity, we can also use words like should, right? So like you'll see this everywhere. You should wash your hands. Now, of course, before COVID, you should have been washing your hands anyway. But, if you go out, or if you're eating, or if you're meeting friends, or if you're going to shake someone's hand, right, you should probably wash your hands after you go to the toilet. I've seen some of you in the toilet.
They don't do it?
You've gone to pee and you don't wash your hands. Mark, I'm not pointing at you.
Okay, good.
I've never seen you not wash your hands.
There's no proof,
but
no evidence.
I have seen people here in Singapore in this building that do not wash their hands after they use the washroom.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's pretty gross.
That's a good example of we'll say a recommendation, right? You should wash your hands. There's not a policeman in the bathroom who's watching and thinking, if you don't wash your hands, you're going to be punished. But
right, they're not holding a gun to your head, being like, "Wash your hands." Right,
but beginning of COVID, actually,
maybe they should.
Of COVID, if you want to have a stronger recommendation, right? Instead of you should wash your hands. Beginning of COVID, everyone was terrified about getting the disease, so you could say you have to wash your hands. You have to wash your hands because if you don't, right, you're going to get sick. You're going to have to be hospitalized, right? People were really in a panic at the beginning of the COVID epidemic. So. Yeah. There was a time I think people felt they had to wash their hands.
Yeah, of course. And I think like in your video we talk about have to and must, where it means obligation, right?
Yes.
Where we have to wear a mask, right? We don't have a choice. And that's really all that obligation means, right? You mustn't smoke in a restaurant. So that's kind of prohibition, I guess. But but sometimes, like we just said, you have to wash your hands. Of course, you don't have to. It's not a necessity. It's not a 100% like if you don't wash your hands, you're going to die. But it's a strong recommendation, right? Just like I think you said in your video, if you come to Singapore, you have to try the chicken rice, right? I'm giving you some strong advice.
And then just now I keep using the "you've gotta," because that's another thing Americans use that I completely forgot about in my video. You've got to try. You've got to try it.
You've got to try. Yeah. You have got to. So that's, I'm going to nerd out and I'm going to go off topic a little bit here, but I think that's something where, American English speakers are like, we never say have got to. We never say have got to. Have you got to do this? Have you got to do that? But we do, right?
Yeah.
But we just merge it. We like, I've gotta, right? I gotta, right? I have got to becomes I've gotta. Hey, I've got to go, right? I got to go, right? And that's something that we do with like ought to, right? I oughta, hey, you ought to try this restaurant. When we have new teachers who are from America or Canada, or America, I'm also from America.
Canada.
Brazilians watching. Yeah. America, Canada. We say, you oughta or you ought to. Nobody says that. That's British English, but Americans hate to say it. Mark's mom and dad.
If you look deeply into your soul, I mean, there are things that, like, again, in my video also, we talked about must versus have to. I think the Brits do use it slightly differently, but again, those little details, you will learn over time as a teacher that our Englishes are not as different as sometimes we make them out to be.
Right. Unless you talk to some Brits
purists
who think we've bastardized. Yes, we've bastardized the English or bastardized the language. All right, nice. So that's all about present. Well, we talked about present obligation.
Oh, yeah,
right?
we can move into
still a little bit more time. So how about like past obligation, things that we had to do? So obviously we could go back as far back as when we were children, but nobody cares about that.
I was a cute
we talk
child.
about like, I bet you were. But maybe like at the beginning of COVID, things that we had to do. Things that we had to do.
Oh, so
At the beginning of COVID, Mark, is there anything we had to do?
so it was I didn't have to. I don't think we ever made this a requirement, but I know that some students, like school-aged children, had to take their temperature before they went to school. Like every morning, the parents would have to send a picture of the temperature to the teacher or to the school district before the kids were allowed to go to school. So they had to take their temperature. Of course, they had to wear a mask. We had to also, of course, do social distancing in the classroom, where we would put an X between the students. We had to, at one point, we were using face masks. We had to wear face masks to also help prevent
the
shields. I was doing the motion for shields, but said face masks. But yeah, we had to wear shields, face masks, all this different stuff. We had to do all of that to make sure that we could limit the spread of the virus. So yeah,
exactly,
completely different world.
Even to the point where the whole school, we have 500 students. We had to go online. Right? We had no choice. Singapore locked down for a couple months.
Yeah, we had to transition online.
I think thanks to you. Thanks to you, we found Good Notes, and we found, not a sponsor. And I had to run across the street to Funan and buy a bunch of iPads, and luckily we managed to. And this is going into the next podcast, so make sure you watch that. But luckily, we managed to secure enough iPads and pens and Zoom accounts and learn how to actually use it and do it. And
we had to teach all the other teachers about the new software, and we had to get used to all of these. This whole new style of teaching, because like classroom instruction versus this kind of instruction on the internet is completely different. So we definitely had to deal with a steep learning curve at the beginning, but now we're pros,
professionals.
Professionale.
We're the best around. Nothing's ever gonna bring me down.
The things we had to do.
We could do a karaoke podcast next time.
I know.
So, Mark, I think we've used must, have to, need, should, all those things very well in this podcast.
Yeah.
So, any last words? Anything you want to say?
There's one I'm going to do. This is a little bit off topic, but I was talking to a student about they're struggling with pronunciation. The L sound and the R sound, and a lot of people don't know this, but whenever I was a kid, I also struggled with the R sound, because it's a very difficult sound, even for native speakers sometimes. So I had to go to speech therapy when I was in elementary school, and they were teaching me how to use the R, 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 R. So I had to get help when I was a kid because I couldn't say the R sound, right? So I thought...
Like the American R.
Yeah, the American R. The American R is quite strong. Maybe if I grew up in the UK, they'd be like, you're fine, buddy. But in American English, the R sound, water, teacher, that sound is quite strong. And I was really having trouble as a kid making my R sound. So that, again, I had to get help. I had to go to speech therapy to actually have someone teach me the mouth position. So that's just, again, another thing, like something, that was that necessary for me, even as someone who grew up in the U.S. So that's just a shout out to all of our students who struggle with some of the sounds of English, right? You don't have to worry about your struggle, right? It's very natural. So
I love that. I love that. And I think that, I think a lot of my students, they ask me like, hey, how can I improve my pronunciation? They kind of want me to give them pronunciation. And sorry, I can't do it. I can give you vocabulary, I can give you grammar, I can give you all those things. But with pronunciation, you just have to do it. You have to learn, you have to practice, just like Mark. I didn't know that, Mark, actually. That's interesting.
Because I think they sometimes it doesn't click that it's literally muscle memory. It's muscle memory and getting your mouth in the right position. That's all pronunciation is, correct, so correct pronunciation.
You have to train. You have to train this guy.
Yeah, you have to train your mouth. Yeah, you have to train your mouth. You have to train your mouth to enunciate and to voice those certain sounds. So again, that's just, I've been on a bit of a deep dive trying to help one of my Chinese students with some of the sounds. So that was my final point. Sorry,
that's really
lengthened out the video a little bit. Yeah.
No worries. Just more content,
content.
for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I guess we can wrap this one
I
up.
think we're
So
good.
thank you guys. If you guys have any questions or comments, obviously comment down below things you have to do or should do, or you can think about back to when you were a kid, like things you had to do when you were a kid, maybe that you don't have to do now. And if you do like this video, make sure you like it. You can share it with your friends, and follow us on all the other socials.
Yeah.
And check us out on Instagram. Lots of quizzes and fun content.
Shoot a message. We'd love to hear what you have to do, what you don't have to do, what you had to do, what you didn't have to do. All of those things. Send us your example sentences.
We didn't even talk about our wives.
Yeah,
Mark.
which is a surprise. We usually bring up our wives
Probably
at least
smart.
once in a video. But
Probably smart, but they don't watch this
yeah,
anyway.
it's
So
okay. We're safe. Okay.
All right, buddy. We'll see you in the next
Awesome.
video.
Catch
All
you
right,
then.
bye, guys.
Bye-bye.